Okay, so thank you, thank you. So Craft Beverage Guild of Snohomish County, we also go by the name of Local Liquid Arts. And so um, we are a 501c6. We are a nonprofit. It actually started back in like 2013, but with um, Debbie from Snohomish. She works for the city of Snohomish, and she started this back then. And I met her when I used to be the chamber director in Monroe. And so while I was the chamber director, I was attending a lot of the tourism classes. And Debbie happened to mention that they had local liquid arts, and it was kind of not doing a whole lot. And at the time, I got really excited because my husband and I want to open a brewery one day, and we were hoping to wait till our daughter was at least in high school, and so 4 more years. And I started actually stalking her and really wanted local liquid arts. I got really excited. I actually ran a business back in 2008. And unfortunately, because of what happened with the economy and everything, well, of course, things just kind of fell apart. But I also started to realize that I didn't have a lot of support. And although it was a small business that was centered around children, um, I was really discouraged at the fact that the city of Arlington was not as supportive, and a lot of the businesses were not as supportive of a small business new coming in. And so when Debbie and I started talking about local liquid arts and how to help the craft beverage industry and specifically breweries, her big passion was breweries. Um, I got really excited because I want to, as the chamber director, it was really easy to be that support system. But I loved the idea that I could actually just focus on one industry instead of a whole city with multiple different kinds of businesses. And so last year, I decided to actually do this well, 2019, I thought I'm going to do this full time. This will be fun. I had attended a few tourism classes, went to a few workshops. We were really going to start pushing the farm to bottle kind of movement, really trying to connect craft beverage makers with the farmers, and bringing together strawberries, and how can we bring the strawberries into the brewery world or the wine world, or how can we do lavender? We have a lavender farm here in Marysville. So there's all sort, and then I also met a couple of the meat like cattle ranchers and pork or pigs, and trying to bring all of them together, and how do we pair that with the craft beverage makers that we have here in the county. And so I decided in 2019 I was doing it full time in 2020, and then, well, COVID hit. So it all kind of got wonky. But as Robin said, what happened was I ended up applying for a grant at the end of the year, and we got this huge $37,000 grant. And it completely just set us up. And so now we have tablecloths and tables, and the trail, and a bunch of other stuff that we can actually truly support. We put of that money, I think it was $5,000 back into this, specifically back into the craft beverage makers. I went and spent on average $200 at a lot of the breweries and wineries and distilleries, and bought swag for giveaways. I ended up getting in trouble with the gambling commission and didn't realize that I could not actually do so. Before, you could do it was called a bingo card, but we weren't requiring an entry. You got it stamped by 5 different businesses. You came and gave me your bingo card, and you walked away with anything from a sticker to a hoodie. And so it was really cool, and people were coming, and we got rid of a lot of swag because of it. And then somebody reported us, and the gambling commission called and told me I couldn't do it anymore. So we still have a lot of the product. It's really cool. We actually ended up being able to purchase more product and get a few more things for our mobile shops. And so we're still out there doing a bunch of different things. And so I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm so excited, sorry. And so one of the other, so just to kind of clarify, we support breweries, wineries, distilleries. We have one kombucha maker in the county, a couple of meaderies, a whole bunch of coffee roasters, and a few cideries. And we do not on our website put bars, tap rooms, or restaurants. We really are here to support the makers themselves. Eventually, I want to start actually posting the farmers too that we're working with to partner, and bring up that whole farm to table or farm to bottle. And so eventually they will be added to the website, and hopefully the idea is that even as the makers, they will end up going to our website to see who our partners are so that they can contact them and hopefully use their fruits or their meats to pair a product with. A lot of these makers have restaurants attached to them. And so hopefully being able to partner with the farms will actually bring in that meat or that fruit or vegetables. And then another thing that we do is all of our different events. We brought up part of the grant that we had to do was an economic resiliency. And so it was a different way to show how we were going to support these small businesses outside of their store. And so a huge part of the grant was to set up what we call a mobile shop and pickup station. And so the pickup station is actually a partnership with a bunch of the breweries and wineries and distilleries where you go and you buy the alcohol through them, and then we deliver it to you at one of our mobile shops. We also have put together some tasting events, and when you buy your tickets through us with the tasting events, we put together a goodie bag with some swag and some snacks. We've also done some private tours. James Bay Distillery has been really supportive of us. Snowtown Brewery has put together a couple of events for us. I happened to be at Dreadnought Brewery one day, and they were doing their beer mile run, and I had never seen that before, and I thought they were crazy for doing that. And then I did a whiskey mile and loved it. So now we do whiskey miles and beer miles, and so there's a few different breweries, and James Bay Distillery, helps us with our whiskey mile. And then we also organize a few beer gardens, like with the Monroe Chamber of Commerce. We volunteer to put together their beer garden. So they get to keep the money, but at least we get to promote local liquid arts. Eventually in the fall, we have all the equipment so that we can put together our own beer garden. And then the idea is that we could even run the beer garden for people. And that way we can still promote all of the craft beverage makers. And it could be a fun fundraiser for local liquid arts. We also are putting together some business workshops. We actually had 3 scheduled last year, and it was supposed to be a how to open a brewery. The city of Arlington and the city of Monroe had registered with us, and we actually had like 7 partners from SBDC and SCORE and the cities themselves, a couple of real estate agents, a banker. They were all partnering with us to put together this how to open a brewery workshop. And we were going to highlight and feature the city of Arlington and the city of Monroe and how the process works. And you could ask questions to all the city folks. You could ask questions to the Liquor Cannabis Board. And so everybody was supposed to be there to help make the process easier. And then during that is when I was reminded of the Skagit Brewing Academy. And so I ended up registering also for the Skagit Brewing Academy. And so I actually am just finishing that up. And we were talking about that earlier with Jim, because that's how I met Jim earlier, a few months ago, was while I was interning at Meatheads. I got to meet Jim and go see his new place. And so it's really cool. And I'm actually interning at Meatheads, Crooked Label, Whitewall. And with Whitewall, the fun and unique thing is that I actually get to help them beer tent. So I get to see what actually working the brewery looks like, not just on the back end. And that's been a lot of fun. And then we have a booth up at the Monroe Farmers Market. And so at the Monroe Farmers Market, we also sell and promote our t-shirts and mugs and glasses and party trays. The Farmers Market is also a pickup station. So if you call any one of our partners, you could pick up your products at the Farmers Market in Monroe. And so just to kind of, reiterate how the pickup station works and who our partners are. Right now we're working with Dreadnought, Original Pilot House, Shackelford Vintners, Kurtzen Distillery, King Lake Cellars, Bad Dog Distillery, Glory Bucha, and James Bay Distillers. So again, you just you contact any one of them. We can't accept the money because we can't sell the alcohol, but legally we can deliver it to anybody over the age of 21 at any location. And so as long as it's paid for through the actual alcohol producer, then we can deliver it to you. One of the big things that came of that huge grant that we got was the actual Snohomish County Beer, Wine, and Spirits Trail. So my friend, a really good friend of mine, is an amazing graphics designer. And so bless her heart, she worked with me. We only had 3 weeks to put everything together, and she was able to do all the graphics for us in probably less than a week. And so almost every brewery, all the distilleries, and not all the wineries were open. So I'm about 85% in everybody that has been open or that has a tasting room. Many of them, just due to what's going on with COVID, have either not let me come in because their tasting rooms or businesses aren't open. And so that's why they don't have the trails. But the trails right now have 64 businesses on them. And it's just put together in alphabetical order by city. So it starts with Darrington and it goes all the way down into Sultan, and it just takes you along all of the county, and everybody's listed, and it's in anybody that's a maker. I even have a list of the ones that only do things online. And so the grant helped pay for 50,000 of those, a bunch of postcards, business cards, a few more prizes, the tent. And so we've been able to actually go out there, and we've already distributed over 5,000 trails. Just people are picking them up and they're loving them. While we're at the farmer's market, it's been really fun I really like when I pass it out to somebody, they open it up and they look at it and they're like, I didn't even know we had this brewery here. Oh, wow, we have a distillery. I didn't even know there were distilleries. Or there's a couple of times that I've even heard them talk about meaderies, and they had no clue Snohomish County had meaderies. And so that's been really neat to be able to introduce people to these different businesses. And so one of the big things that, we're always looking for is volunteers and sponsors, and anybody who's a maker that would like to come out and pass out the trails, wear a t-shirt. That's always fun, and it's always neat to be able to talk to people, introduce them to things. And then I'm just kind of, this is how we, we're always looking for board members, because of how, when Debbie had it 4 years ago, she had pretty much given up on it just because she was so busy with the city, and she actually had just gotten a promotion. So it was just really hard to maintain. And when I took it over and we brought it back as a nonprofit, I basically just had to get 4 people, to be legal together to volunteer as board members. And so I would love to start seeing our board get developed more by and attended more and supported by actual people in the industry. The two of the board members currently right now are basically just friends that are super supportive of us and attend a lot of stuff, but it would be nicer to see it be with somebody who's actually in the industry and understands the industry, which is part of the reason why I loved the fact that I went to the Skagit Craft Brewing Academy, because I wanted to understand how a brewery works, what it would take to really market a brewery, and just the kind of the struggles of running a brewery. And after going through that program, it's really opened my eyes, and especially going through the internships and seeing the 3 different businesses and how different they really are, has been really cool to hopefully be able to use that experience to help local liquid arts support these businesses better. And then of course, any feedback that you have about how the website looks or how we're marketing anything on Instagram or if Facebook. Because of school, I've been really slacking on social media. We're still attending a lot of things, but social media has been kind of a hassle for me right now. But anything that you have or recommend, I would love to hear it. And then help us advocate for our local craft beverage makers. One of my biggest frustrations has been when I attend a beer garden. And it's really sad to me when I see, especially like chambers or rotaries that are made up of very influential community leaders, and their beer gardens are serving Costco beer, or they went to Walmart and just bought Coors Lights. Um, when you have a brewery in your own city and you're putting together a beer garden, I really believe that you should be supporting those breweries or those wineries or those distilleries. And so, I think part of a homebrew club, the support that I would love to see is a little bit more pressure or just an understanding of why. Why aren't those businesses being supported more? And I know that they're a little more expensive, but at least you're keeping it in the city. We also are a Dog is Good direct direct salesperson. And so Dog is Good is a dog clothing line that is specifically for dog lovers. And so they have really fun t-shirts and glasses and hats that just talk about and kind of put it out there about how people love their dogs. And it's just a lot of fun. So if you're a dog person and love fun, cool shirts and t-shirts and swag, Dog is Good is really fun to look at. And I guess now I just want to know too is how can local liquid arts help you all? And what could we do to support your group and your organization? And what could we be doing better?
Well, one thing I can think of is, there's a lot of people that, so we've been trying to talk to a couple of breweries and whatnot to try to find a way that we can have like a night that we can, be at the brewery and explain to them that, you've been to this really cool brewery, and a lot of these breweries were started by home brewers, and you too can be a home brewer, right? So if we can find a way that we can, meld the two together, or even if it's like, even if we have, you have one of your uh, shoot, farmers market. If we can get like a space that we can just talk about, how easy it is to get in. You can make things yourself. You can make whatever you want, and hand out flyers for whether art is us or hope well, it's gonna be us. Um, we can help promote like other clubs who just promote the concept of home brewing because it is easy and a lot. I mean, I'm a perfect example. I had no idea that I could home brew. I would have had a much more inebriated college year if I had actually known that I could make my own alcohol in the balcony rather than buying it at QFC. So I mean, but it's just a lot of fun, and the community in general for homebrewing is just a phenomenal community. And I just realized that I was talking to Dan at Crooked Label, and I think you're the person he was talking about.
Oh, about an intern or about local liquid arts?
No, like as an intern, because he was saying that
Oh,
his intern was at Skagit. And I'm like, wait, no, that's a good
that's
thing.
me.
So, okay,
That would be
but yeah,
me.
just introduce the concept of homebrew to the average person so they understand how easily accessible it is and how open of a group it is.
So is that something that, okay, so I know when Robin and I were at Whitewall the other day, we asked Laurel about hosting a meeting and trying to do something, but I think her biggest, I mean, right away, her hesitation was homebrewers also like to bring some of their beer to the brewery and share it. And so obviously that's one of the things that it's kind of changing that mindset, right? Of you're not going there to share, because obviously you can't bring your alcohol out in public like that, right? And so I think it's just even explaining to the Laurels of we want to be here to support you, but also talk about us, right? And so, um, yeah, I would love to be. I mean, there's a few I can think of right away that would be more than happy to host you all and actually make it something as a like an introduction to home brewing clubs, and come learn more about GEBL, right? And see
Yep.
what it is to be a part of this club and how easy it could be to homebrew.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe we could just get together and maybe if you give me 3 or 4 dates and I can talk to a few people and then come back and say, okay, I've got 4 people that say they can host us on or host you all on these dates. How
Okay.
does this sound to you? You know?
We will talk.
Okay.
So one of the thoughts that I have is that obviously you're presenting to GEBL, but there's other homebrew clubs in the area as well. And you've got this great product that this trail map that you have as a background, which looks really cool. And one of the things that I was thinking about was you could actually be featuring those homebrew clubs and trying to get those homebrew clubs doing more business with the local breweries and cideries and what have you, so that it's mutually beneficial both ways, and it's driving people in both directions, both saying, oh, I really like beer, maybe I'll go to this homebrew club, here's the information on when they have their monthly meeting, that sort of stuff.
So the stamp card I just attached in the chat. So when you so we aren't printing it just because it's expensive, but if you print it at home, the promotion is to print it at home and then go around town and get your 5 stamps, and then you come back to one of our mobile shops and we give you a prize. So it's that passport concept. On the inside on page 2, I feature a lot of our sponsors, partners, and then if somebody new has opened up, that could be something maybe in like September. We could do a whole spread on just the homebrew clubs, because I feel like over the summer, people are going to be out and about in the events, but not necessarily attending the meetings, right? But maybe throughout the summer, we're promoting that in September, here's all the listings of everybody you could attend or something like that. What do you think about that, Randy? Like,
yeah, no, I think that would be great. Like having one of the things they have to do is a 10-day homebrew meeting once we're in person and so forth.
Yeah, maybe we could even do something where we're like, come meet GEBL at, Sound of Summit, or, on September 15th. And then it'll be another one, that, I don't know if Snohomish has their own, or Arlington is that in the Shadow Brewing, right? And so maybe that whole cover, that feature is just attending.
And some people in the club have been talking about doing those sorts of ideas, and it makes a lot of sense. And this could just be one more thing that could go along with that sort of event.
I love it. Okay.
I have a lot of clear glasses that we can use a black marker to write GEBL on it. Like, we can give those away.
I have a Cricut. I'm happy to help with some. You all buy the vinyl, I'll cut it, and you all just put the vinyl on. The vinyl is the hardest part, is the weeding. I hate weeding, but I'm happy to cut it for you, and then you all just put it together.
Oh, great.
It would look really cute. I actually make those to sell them, and they have fun, quirky sayings like "Mommy's juice box," and it's a wine glass, and it's, yeah.
You said you attached something to the chat. I don't see it there.
I did. It's a file. If it doesn't come up, maybe. Oh, maybe. Let me try it one more time.
I've got it.
Yeah, I got it.
That too.
Depending on when you, yeah. Well, no, have you been here the whole time, Brian? Sorry, but it's there. So let's see if you get it now.
I came in closer to 7, but I guess I don't see it. Okay.
Look at the chat.
I can get it from somebody.
I can email it to you.
That works.
And then that gives you an idea too of how I'm talking about the, the page 2. Like when you open it, it's the left side. That would be the spread that I'm talking about, that we could really push the homebrewers clubs, for over the summer. And I'm happy to, that's easy to change.
I really love this. I love this. I love this. I didn't know. I mean, I've been to a brewery. I don't think I've seen. I mean, I have Crucible close to me, and a couple other ones that I don't think I've seen this. But this is actually really great. I forgot there was another area I was just in that was exactly what I was thinking, is that they are lacking a brewery map so that people know that you can take this trail. I just came from Bellingham last weekend, and Bellingham's got it down cold, just like Bellingham.
Yeah, I was going to say they have one too.
So Bellingham's actually the one I was trying to copy, and I was trying to work with the gentleman that makes that, because when you pull out Bellingham's, it's like a big old school map. Yeah, that didn't work out, but it's okay. So we have this trail, and hopefully I get a fun, a grant, a funding source somewhere that we can actually do, kind of like how Wobble does it with the electronic passport. That's my goal by the end of the year, is to have the electronic passport.
So I do have a question going back to something you said earlier about the gaming commission. So was the problem the fact that you were using a bingo card, or was because I know people do giveaways all the time? What was the issue?
So it was a whole bunch of stuff. So
Okay.
technically, it's super short stuff. Technically, the word bingo is a red flag. So if I hadn't put bingo on it, it would have been probably a little bit less of a violation. But when they see the word bingo, they automatically think it's a buy-in of some sort. And so right away it was, you never applied for any kind of gambling license, which no, of course not, because I wasn't charging people for the past, like for the bingo card, right? And it literally was like an 8.5 by 11 sheet that I had bingo on it. And it was just I had it sorted by regions. And so depending on what region you grabbed, it had anywhere from, well, almost every box was full of somebody, you know. And then the other thing was, as a nonprofit, so for-profit companies can run giveaways where sign up for our newsletter for a chance to win a $25 gift card. A for-profit company legally can do that. A nonprofit cannot. And then anytime you do, so there's 3 things that make it a game of chance: a purchase, the fact that somebody can't come up off the street and just do it, and then the prize. So as long as you take one of those 3 things away, it's no longer a gambling. It's no longer gambling. So because mine said my bingo card, I didn't think about it, but the way the bingo card read was stop by and have a drink or something. So basically the verbiage insinuated that you had to make a purchase. Even though I wasn't selling the bingo card, in order to get the stamp, you had to make a purchase. And so now my verbiage on this on the trail, on the stamp card doesn't say anything. Nope, there's no purchase necessary. You can literally walk up to the counter and get a stamp. But I do have, for tourism purposes, I do have a dollar amount that says, what is your purchased amount? But it doesn't require a purchase. So I just do that because I want to, when I track it, I want so that I can go after some motel taxes and lodging grants. I can at least prove that, hey, in Everett, we brought in $3,000 last year just on this trail, you know, and that's the ones that turned in their stamp. Imagine the ones that didn't turn in their stamp.
Do you have
Where
anything? Okay, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm looking at the flyer. It's very cool, by the way. Where is the actual map that you can look at
So
to
there's
see the different breweries, meaderies, cideries, etc.?
So there's not a map. It's just
Okay.
a trail. So the actual trail card, and I can throw it in the chat too.
I'm just curious what that looks like.
Yeah, there's a physical one. I was hoping I had one near me, and it's right here. I don't know if you all can see it with the screen on. Hold on, let me take. Okay, don't judge my mess. I was just telling everybody during the happy hour that I'm a hoarder and it's messy back here. But I'm trying to turn off my virtual back screen. But so this is the trail.
Okay.
And and then it opens up. And then when you look inside, I don't know if you can see that. There is by city, and then it tells you who's in those cities.
Okay.
And then, so the idea, and one of the biggest reasons for not doing a map is because when you're looking at the county, it's just all over the place, and we couldn't decide on how big we wanted to make it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, and Crucible and Soundbite Cider are notorious for running out of, and oh my gosh, I just blanked out on the brewery that's down by the water. They are all at large. Are always we've probably refilled them like 10 times in the last 6 months. So,
So I couldn't quite see and so I'm with Vicky. So I understand your concept for not making it because you don't want to make it too big, but it really does help. Having coming from Bellingham, it's helpful to just have a rough idea of where things are in coordinated to where you are, So let's say if I'm coming in through the college, I know that what's roughly near the college. It doesn't have to be exact, but just a general idea. And the one thing I couldn't quite tell on the map that you had was you have like the hours because I know some of these places have really funky hours. Okay,
No,
you just have the phone number.
I don't even have their phone numbers because some of
Oh,
them, it was funny. Some of them on Google My Business have one phone number. On Facebook, they have another phone number. And on their website, they have another phone number. And so it was one of those where since I wasn't getting any input from the actual, I wasn't getting a lot of input from them because we had to do this in such a fast amount of time and it was during Christmas. Um, I kind of got frustrated and I ended up just putting the names. On the website, if you actually go to localliquidarts.com, there is a map. It does have, if you like click on the map, it actually gives you the link to directions to their facility. I don't have hours just because over COVID, hours were changing all the time. But I do have links to their website. I have if they have a restaurant. I have it if they're dog friendly, and I have it if they're kid friendly. So the website has almost everything you've asked for, but I just didn't do it in paper.
no, that's perfect. That's exactly because, like I said, all these places have funky hours. So I know I've gone like the Blue Water Distillery that's in
Yes.
Everett. I've gone by a couple of times and they're closed. And I end up going to Scuttlebutt, but I can't go to the place next door.
And I'm going to tell you, I love Blue Water Distilling. They make probably the best cocktails ever, but don't go to them if you're looking for food and you're hungry already because their service is really slow. Like their staff is hella cool and super amazing, but just don't go hungry because by the time your food comes, you'll be starving and cranky. But they are worth the wait. They're amazing.
Yeah, go to Scuttlebutt first and eat, and then
Yes.
walk over there and have a drink.
And order your drink while you're waiting for your food at Scuttlebutt so that you can eat dinner. And then by the time you're done, your drink will be ready. No joke. We were waiting one time 45 minutes for our drinks. Mm-hmm. And yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and hopefully if I get another, I'm hoping that's why I'm hoping that the electronic passport will come through. Because then it's just a QR code, download the app or download the link or look at the link and now you've got this electronic thing. And then we're not worried about updating the paper. Like right now the paper is already missing 4 breweries because we printed it in December and 4 places have opened up since then.
That's cool. Yeah, so I'm thinking like you said, like In the Shadow or some of these smaller places. I can't think of another one. I think it was In the Shadow that I was wanted out and I just could. I went to where he was because he's residential
Yeah.
and he was closed, and so that happens with some of these smaller places. So no,
Mhm.
I just love the concept. I love the idea. It makes that's what I like about Wobble is because I found quite a few breweries because of the wander around the map. So
Yeah, and that app is
100%.
nice. Yeah, that app is like $25,000.
Oh yeah, no, it's gotten a lot, but it makes it easy because I used to always lose the book, so or I always leave the book in the wrong car, so it's helpful. But yeah, no, I love the concept.
Thank you.
I will probably bother you. I'll send you an email later on because I actually would like to help you.
I,
I mean,
I would
I'm not a professional. I'm not even a good amateur, but I would like to help promote. So
I would love it. Yeah, any help. And it really is a lot of fun to be out there at those booths. And it would be nice to be able to actually host more of those booths out in other places. And I don't even know where to go to sometimes. But I love the idea of connecting the breweries with the homebrew clubs. And what does that look like? And when Robin and I talked to her, it really like had that moment of wait, there's got to be something we can do here. And so, yeah.
I'll let you know. I was just in downtown Everett this past weekend, and they have a farmers market, and the only beer related thing that was there was Tin Dog from South Park, Seattle. So they're south of Seattle, and they were at the Everett Farmers Market. So there's a space.
Interesting. Yeah, because I reached out to Snohomish, Lake Stevens. What does she do? She does Snohomish, Lake Stevens, and they were already full. So that's why I couldn't be in Snohomish or Lake Stevens. They already had maximum capacity.
Yeah, the Everett Farmers Market. I don't know how long it goes. I know it's on Sundays. I just don't remember how long it runs for. And Mukilteo has one as well. I just don't remember what it's running.
Okay.
But I can find that stuff out for you. I can send it to you.
Oh, I'll look. It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Was the presentation okay? Did I stumble too much?
No.
So that was great. That was
I
good.
get excited.
It was
And if
very
anybody's,
informative. Yeah.
and if anybody's interested, that Skagit Brewing Academy is amazing. And so if you have any desire to like take it to the next level, you know, that program's hella cool. And it's 9 months. And the only stressful part is the internship at the end, you know, with working full time and kids and life. That 162 hours is a lot. But they are trying to figure out something where, like, I didn't have a desire to really open a brewery right now, so it wasn't that big of a deal if I did or didn't do the internship. So they have other people that are kind of along the same lines, and they're trying to figure out what they could do instead.
It's
But
funny you mentioned that because that's exactly what I was thinking. Part of the problem was I have a full time job that has weird hours. It's sometimes I have overtime, sometimes I work nights. But it's also the drive. Like going all the way up to Skagit. So how long are the classes there?
well, the cool thing is that right now, because of COVID, we were all online. So these last 2 years have all been online. So I got
Darn.
really lucky. Yeah, it was really cool because we could do everything was on Zoom except labs. We
Right.
had to go in 4 times for labs, and then I brewed at the brewery 6 times, so we had to go in, or 8 times too, I think. Anyway, and that obviously you have to go in for that. So your brew days are your longest, and they're either on Mondays or Fridays, and it's only like every Monday for a month or every Friday for a month, and then next quarter it's the same thing, and it's from 8 to 4, and then the classes are on Wednesdays. Oh, and Mondays too. We had some on Mondays too, and so those went from 6 to 9.
Not bad.
And then our actual lab, when we were doing like yeast counting and when we actually had to go into the lab, that was on Thursdays from 6 to 9, from 5:30 to 8, 5:30 to 8.
Have you? I know when we talked to the guy up there, there's the people who are graduating from the program. I think it's like what is it? Your final. You have to create a beer. To be sold. What beer did you create?
I did it wasn't really a Helles, but because we ended up using the ale yeast, California, so that it would mimic the lager yeast. And then I wanted to use the syrup from Jim. Is it Jim up at Cascade Beer Candy? I wanted to, because he's part of who I promote too, and I'm actually working with him. So at the farmers market, now that life's getting a little easier, we want to do lemonades, and we want to flavor them with Jim's Cascade Beer Candy syrup. He also sells toffee and chocolates now too. And so next month we're going to start selling that too for him, or consigning with him on that. And so I went on his website and I saw that he had a raspberry syrup. So I made it with the raspberry. And then while I was interning, Brian from Whitewall told me about golden naked oats from Simpson. And if they have a very nutty, crunchy granola taste to them. And so the Helles was supposed to mimic kind of like a raspberry crisp. And so I wanted it to have a very desserty feel to it. And then I paired it with a grilled pork. And I said when you pair it with the pork, I wanted the beer to be used to create a glaze to go over the pork. And so the idea was to have this really light, crisp, flavorful, sweet beer that while you're grilling, you can kind of have this beer for a minute. It was only 5%, so obviously not very hoppy. So your palate would still be pretty clean, and then pair it with this glaze and your pork chop and have it for dinner and still not feel, trashed because it's not a very heavy beer. Mhm.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, maybe we can brew it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and we actually tried those golden oats, and oh my gosh, they're delicious. We were literally just eating them by the handful one day. Like it was so crazy. I didn't know they were that good.
All right. Anyone else? Any questions? Anything? I mean, I asked about a beer.
What's your favorite beer style?
I really like wits and halves, but that's because I'm very malt forward and I don't like hops very much. I like smelling them. I don't like tasting them. I don't like that bitterness. Yeah, but I can let you all get back to your meeting too, so you don't feel like you have to keep me longer. I don't know if you all
Well,
have
thank
other
you.
things to talk about as a group, but
Oh goodness, Yvonne, thank you so much for sharing local liquid arts with us.
Mhm.
What an exciting journey. I knew when you first showed it to me, it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of work, but it was really going to make an impact on the brewing industry. And I heard some great ideas, and I'm really looking forward to joining you and having a good time and getting the engagement going. I think that's the one thing between local liquid arts and the brew clubs is we need to get more engagement and get out there and let everybody know that we're here.
yeah, and I'm happy to help any way I can. So I should I'll give Robin my electronic business card and all my information, and then she can just share it with everybody. But the stamp card also has all my information on the back of it too. So feel free to call me or email me, or let's go get a beer and talk. I'm happy to. I want to learn more. So
Does our newsletter, so I'll make sure that he gets that too, so that
Yes.
he can kind of keep you in everybody's mind.
cool. Thank you.
No,
Thank
thank
you,
you very
everybody.
much.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you for letting me come.
All right.